Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I'm using a Stampin' Up! Set called Flower Patch. It's a photopolymer clear set. It comes with a lot of different stamps in this set, and there are a lot of silhouette ones and some really cute sentiments. When I saw it, I thought Go Stamping Technique for sure. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to pull off the ones that I need and start with some Color Box Frost White pigment ink, which is my favorite white pigment ink. And I'm going to ink up my stamp and put it onto some Hero Arts craft cardstock. Now you'll see I use my Stamp-A-Majig here. I was thinking I was going to stamp it twice, but then I realized my cardstock wasn't adhered to my craft mat, so it wasn't going to work out. Anyway, so I'm going to randomly stamp these all over the cardstock, and I decided to work the small ones and the big ones together rather than stamping all the big ones and then all the small ones. That way I made sure that I fit them all exactly the way I wanted them to be on my cardstock. Now, when I let this dry, I let it dry for like an hour or 2 hours rather than zapping it with a heat tool, because then that tends to curl the paper. So if I have the time, I'll let it dry. Okay, to clean these stamps, I wanted to show you that I take a baby wipe first and wipe off all like the bulk of the white ink. Then I spray my Stampin' Scrub, which is just a cleaning brush, I guess you could say, for your stamps. On one side you spray it with the cleaner, and then you rub it in there, and then you move over to the other side and dry it, and then I just stamp it off onto just some scratch sheet of paper, because a lot of times my Stampin' Scrub gets dirty and just kind of gets off the excess ink. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. Now that my white ink has dried, this is Hero Arts Butter Bar. I'm going to prepare my Stamp-A-Majig so that I can place it right on top, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my my Stampin' Clear sheet just about 1 millimeter off to the side. And as you can see, when I do that, I get some area where the dye ink hits the craft directly and it sinks in and makes a dark color, and then I get a pale yellow on top of the white, and then I have some white showing. So I'm going to do that with each of these, and you have to be careful to just move your Stamp-A-Majig sheet just a little bit, because you don't want to move it too far. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my Simon Says Stamp Island Blue for these small ones. And you'll notice that these inks will dye your clear stamps, and that also dyes the Stamp-A-Majig sheet, which doesn't bother me because over time it does fade away, so I don't care that much, but I know it bothers some people. Anyway, so I'm going to continue this technique on all these different flowers. And notice in between stamping, I'm stamping the colors twice. In between, I'm cleaning it off with a baby wipe just because I don't want to get any white ink in my ink pad. Okay, so here's what the finished panel looks like. And what I did was I took this panel and I stripped out, or I cut out, a 1-inch gap in the middle. And I cut out the video because I cut it wrong, and then, or I trimmed it wrong, and then anyway, I ended up fixing it. But the bottom piece is about 1.25 inches, and then I took out 1 inch, and then I left the rest. Now the piece I started with, actually I forgot to tell you, was 4¼ by 5¼ so it is 1/4 inch shorter than a standard card size. Now this piece that I'm stamping on right now is 3/4 inch high, so that it'll give me a 1/8 inch mat at the top and the bottom, like a gap, when I put it in that hole, that 1-inch hole that I cut in the background panel. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this with white, and I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to go back in with the blue, the same blue I used on the flowers, and I'm going to prepare my Stamp-A-Majig sheet. And here you definitely want to be careful to just move your sheet a tiny bit, because you don't want it to look like you have the sentiment stamped twice. You want to look like it's got a little perspective. And I stamped the blue twice. Alright, to finish off the card, I'm going to take some Stampin' Up! Baker's Twine in just plain white. I'm going to wrap it around my bottom piece using just some tape runner on the back. And then now you'll see how this all fits together. So I've got 1/8 inch on the bottom, on the top, and then in the middle around my sentiment. Now I'm just putting all the pieces on, and this is just 4¼ by 5½ inch standard A2 folded cardstock, Nina Solar White. Alright, then I'll take my string again, make a bow, and then I'll take a glue dot, and I take my paper piercer and I fold it in half, and I put it right where I want my bow to be, and then I just kind of smush it right on there. Trim the ends, and then I've got my Stampin' Up! Pearls, which I love, and I'm using a paper piercer to carefully pick them up and just put one on each side. So anyway, that's it. It's a pretty clean and simple card. I hope you like the look of it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.